last year, which is 2017, the government of Zambia enacted 4 pieces of legislation, and there are 4 acts that were signed in 2017. And one of the acts that were signed is actually the Compulsory Standards Act. Okay, now the signing of this act actually meant that a new organization was to be born, and this organization is none other than the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. Now, what was obtaining last year and the years before is that we have this organization which we call the Zambia Bureau of Standards, ZABS. Now, Zambia Bureau of Standards is also an agency under the Ministry of Commerce. Their mandate was to ensure that they, set standards, and also at the same time ensure that the standards that have been set, the key players in the market, there's compliance, they also do regulation. Now, that was a conflict of interest, and this is why in 2017 the signing of the Compulsory Standards Act actually gave birth to the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. Now, our mandate as Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, one, is to regulate products and ensure that, these products that are manufactured, including the products that come in our country, the imports, they are safe for consumption. Consumers get value for their money, their health is not put at risk. So this is one of the mandates that we actually, promote as the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. The other thing that maybe is important to note is that we don't regulate all the products in the market. We are only interested in products that fall within, the compulsory category. Okay, so we have products such as bottled mineral water. We have products such as cooking oil. We have got products such as animal feed, cement, bitumen, just to mention a few. So these are some of the products that fall within the compulsory category, and it is our duty to ensure that these products are actually safe, so that when you buy them, Mr. Nelson, you are sure that this product is actually okay for either for use or for consumption.
Interesting. So now, when you look at Zambian market so far, obviously you've carried a lot of research in terms of product distribution on the market. Do we have any discrepancy in terms of our products that fall on the list of compulsory products being, have you had a problem with the Zambian market in terms of having products that don't meet the standards?
Well, of course, such is expected. We have had instances where certain products that we fall within our mandate, they are not complying, for instance, to standards. And this is why we are on record time and again, having done what we call the market surveillances, okay? Now, when we do these market surveillances, basically, or essentially, we are looking at, is this product meeting, the required standard? And if it doesn't meet the required standard, then we are left with no option but to seize, such products. We have seized quite a number of products, even when we are just about 5 months old now, because we are interested in the safety of these products on the market. So products that are not safe, we engage also these manufacturers and also consumers, because the fight for quality needs concerted efforts, not only from regulators but also from consumers. There are certain obligations that consumers ought to do for them to be assured that this is okay. There are also certain obligations that manufacturers have to follow. For instance, when you are a manufacturer, it is a mandate. You're actually mandated by the law that you give consumers correct labeling on your product. Okay, so if you manufacture, for instance, bottled mineral water, you should be able to indicate on that product, the ingredients that you've put on that product, when it will expire, the manufacturer's name, your physical address where people can find you. So that is the mandate of the manufacturer. They should ensure that that information is there. That information is very important, Nelson, because when a consumer is making a purchase, they will base their decision on the information that is given on the labels. So in an instance or in a case where the information given on that label is not okay, then a consumer will be misled. And this is why you find that consumers have got complaints. They come complaining to say, I thought I was buying this product when the content inside is actually different. Also, consumers have got an obligation. Their obligation is to ensure that before they make any purchase, they take time to understand the content of that product that they are buying. Let them read the labels on the product so that they make intelligent and informed decision. Because we had instances where someone comes to make a complaint, for instance, on peanut butter. This peanut butter is not smooth. When they were buying it, they thought that they were buying a smooth butter, peanut butter. And when they went home, when they reached home, they actually discovered that this peanut butter is crunched. And so they launched in a complaint to say, how come this peanut butter is not smooth? And yet when you read the labels on that product, it was clearly stated that peanut butter is crunched. Okay? So on the part of consumers also, let them not buy things out of an impulse. Let them take time to understand what they are buying so that they are able to make intelligent and informed decisions. That way, the battle for quality will be, be won, and a lot of people know exactly what they need to buy and when to buy it and how they can actually protect themselves.
The concept of quality of products obviously is not measured by what producers and manufacturers are throwing on the market, but also the general public contributes to a product being or to assessing or to making sure that manufacturers are throwing quality products on the market. Now, earlier on, you did mention that, the first, obviously, one of the most important things when you are, before you even throw your product on the market, you need to make sure that everything is well labeled. We have had instances where, most of these shops, especially in local communities, they do even sell products that that have got the labeling, which is partly tiered, partly torn apart, and so on and so forth, and stuff like that. I don't know how often your agency conducts, market surveillances, and of course do their inspections, investigations into what products are being thrown on the Zambian market, just to protect the interest of the general public. Because whenever we are talking about the quality of a product, we are also bearing in mind that the health of the general public has to be protected. Look at some of the products that you mentioned. These are consumable products, products that
products,
exactly,
actually.
products that the general public require on a day-to-day basis. For example, cooking oil. And now imagine that this one goes to buy cooking oil thinking this is sunflower cooking oil, not knowing that this is cooking oil that people actually generate from some of these unscrupulous means.
Exactly.
Cooking oil that has got a smell, and so on and so forth. So I don't know how often you conduct your inspections just to make sure that the general public is protected.
Nelson, you're on point, and I'll be quick to mention to the viewers out there that we do these inspections as often as possible. Okay? And like you've rightly put it, you see, we are there to safeguard the health of consumers and also their safety. So if you go in a market, you buy cooking oil labeled sunflower, and yet the content is not coming from those manufacturers, and that's a very big problem. Secondly, when a product is not properly labeled, we always urge consumers to shun buying such products because they don't know exactly what they are buying. You see, the reasons why products are supposed to be labeled, one is to give you as a consumer information. What is that product that you are buying? It should also give you information when that product will expire, because shelf life is very important also. So when a product is not properly labeled, then it becomes a problem for you as a consumer to know exactly whether this product is safe for consumption or not. So for starters, consumers have got a part to play, and their part is that when they discover such kind of products, they can either report to Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, and secondly, they have to shun to buy such kind of products. Thirdly, consumers should shun buying things from the streets, okay? Because when you buy something from the street, it becomes very difficult for you to get compensation in an event where that product is not okay, okay? The person who has sold that product to you, they are mobile. Today they are at this corner, the other day they are somewhere else. And this is why consumers are always urged that they should be able to buy products from, well-established shops or chain stores, so that in an event where that product is not okay, they can easily, get redress. and it will be easier for us to make a follow-up and find out exactly what transpired and how we can help them.
Interesting. On the products that are on your list, I think if I heard you clearly, I think you talked about mineral water being one of the products that is there. When you go into town and stuff like that, I don't know whether it is advisable for people to be picking up empty mineral water bottles, go home, cleanse them up, and of course put fresh water, seal it properly, and they start reselling on the street.
That is not okay, and it's not allowed. For starters,
is it a crime in Zambia?
Well, of course it is not allowed, and of course it can fall under it being a crime. Why? Because you're actually putting the health of consumers at risk. You see, when you manufacture bottled mineral water, there's what we call the permit to supply. Before you go any further, you need to get that document, permit to supply, and you can only get it from the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. Okay? So when we give you the permit to supply, there will be parameters that you're supposed to meet as a manufacturer. Okay? And once we give you that, we as the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, we are certain that everything is in place, your plant is okay. In terms of hygiene standards, you are on top of things, everything is okay. Now, when you go in the market, you get that bottle, a used bottle, you go at your backyard and you put water there, you seal it, and you start selling. Actually, that is a criminal offense because you are putting the health of consumers at risk. That water, the bottled mineral water, there are certain parameters that is supposed to meet. We have to test to ensure that all those parameters are met. And I'll announce to you, Nelson, and also to our listeners and the viewers out there, that you see, there are certain products that have been failing these parameters. Certain bottled mineral water failing the parameters. Why? Because it's not every sample that comes and we say, okay, let it just be produced. No, we don't work like that. We have to safeguard the health of consumers and ensure that the products that are sold to them, they are products that are safe. So people that are actually doing that vice, they get bottles and fill them with water and sell, who appeal to the members of the public, who appeal to people that are watching us now, that if you see one doing that, please be as vigilant as possible. Report such a one to the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, and we'll be able to take appropriate measures on such people that are doing that, because they are putting the health of consumers at stake and at risk.
Ella, you talked about being in existence for about 6 months. Just for this year alone, how many cases have you recorded of people failing to follow the prescribed guidelines in terms of their products that they're throwing on the market? And of course, any statistics in relation to the products that you have confiscated so far?
You'll be interested, Nelson, to note that actually in the second quarter, we're actually in second quarter. Let me just say both first and second quarter of 2018, I think we have had about 150, products that were confiscated. Okay. Now these products were confiscated because they did not meet one parameter, and that parameter is the issue of being expired. Okay. You'll be interested, Nelson, to note that products that are expired, whose shelf life has actually come to an end, is prohibited to sell such products. Those products, they should be removed. And when we conduct these market surveillances and our inspections, and we discover that these products, have expired, we are left with no option but to seize such products. Because like I've stated, there are consumers who just go in a shop, they will not take time to read labels. They won't even know that this product has expired. So they will just, consume.
Mr. Hamunji, another discrepancy that I've noticed on some of the products that actually fall on Zambian market is the fact that some you'd find that the expiry date, you'd find that sometimes it's so invisible such that, a consumer cannot even see it. I've had a situation whereby a consumer has to move the bottle, has to look up, down, just trying to find where, that a label indicating the expiry date is. So I don't know how visible that label is supposed to be, because sometimes it's just dotted, so such that if you've got a bad eyesight, you might not actually even see it. So I don't know how visible should the expiry date label be on a product.
Thank you so much, Nelson. The expiry date should be as visible as possible. Okay? Like I said earlier on, if it is not that visible, then it becomes a problem. It becomes a barrier, communication barrier to the person who is supposed to buy that product. So it should be as visible as possible, so that the end user or the person who is supposed to make that purchasing decision, they will know exactly what they are buying. Okay? And those are some of the products that we actually seize, because when they do not explain clearly, or their expiry date is not clearly labeled, then it becomes a problem for consumers to actually make an intelligent decision to buy such products, because they don't know when it will expire.
Vital information that I believe every Zambian is supposed to know. And of course, you also need to know what your rights are as a customer, and of course, what your rights are as a consumer, and of course, a producer of goods and services. That's the reason why I thought today we can actually talk about some of the things that we don't really pay particular attention to, but have got a very huge bearing on our health, especially where buying products are concerned. In most cases, most of us, we have come to believe that most of these chain stores, whatsoever they provide, is always fresh and is always healthy, such that we just walk in there, you just get something off the shelf, you go and pay, and you go back home without even looking at the labeling and of course the expiry date. Those are little things that we don't pay particular attention. Now obviously Mr. Hamunji will definitely highlight, as we get back from the break, the importance of checking especially the expiry date of a certain product. And of course we're also going to engage Mr. Hamunji to tell us some of the goods that fall within their parameters that they usually observe every time that they conduct an inspection. And if you have not yet been visited, well, it's important that you keep on double checking yourself, so that you make sure that whatsoever you're selling to the general public is healthy and of course meets the standard. Sometimes you don't have to wait for inspectors to come and tell you to say your products are not meeting their standards. Sometimes it's important that you just check and make sure that they meet your standards. For now, we pay some bills. We'll be back shortly.
Stay connected for special treats on GoTV this May. There's a lot to learn from the story of us on Africa Magic Family.
No, just look at the time.
See who's really in charge in The Boss on Telemundo. The life of the warrior continues in the Forbidden Kingdom on Mnet Movies Zone.
I'm on a mission to find the secret of the stuff.
It's all supernatural in The Gifted on Fox.
It's complicated.
Be on the grandstand, Chachal Classico, IAAF, plus the Supersport FIFA World Cup channel.
It's ecstasy.
The Bazaar is fascinating in the adventures of Kid Danger on Nickelodeon.
Help!
And it's Operation Rescue in Escape from the Planet Earth on Mnet Movies Zone.
I love you guys.
Pick your treat this month on GoTV Max and GoTV Plus. We are entertainment. GoTV. Live it. Love it.
We bring you the best music videos, all genres, every day 12 hours to 13:30 on your favorite channel, QTV. Ngoma. Ngoma, every day 12 hours to 13:30.
All right, so welcome back. I'm still in touch with Mr. Lee Hamunji, who is the spokesperson for the Zambia Consumers Compulsory Standards Agency, who have been mandated to, obviously make sure that some goods that are hitting or that are being sold on the Zambian market meet standards. Now, getting back to the previous issue that we were talking about, labels and of course expiry date. What role do consumers play in making sure that the Zambian market has products that are not expired?
Thank you so much, Nelson. Like I did mention earlier on, consumers have got a part to play. And we believe as Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency that this battle for quality needs concerted efforts, not only from us, but also from consumers. So what consumers should do is that they should be as vigilant as possible. You see, when they are vigilant, one, it means they'll be able to report issues of substandard or issues that hinge on quality. They'll be able to report, if they feel that they have not been treated well to Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, and we'll be able to make a follow-up. And once we make a follow-up, then together we'll be able to win this, this battle. So consumers have got a part, and other than them, taking time to read the labels on the product, they should keep receipts. You see, when you purchase something, the only evidence that will show that indeed you bought that product is when you produce a receipt. So when something goes wrong there, the only evidence that you bring to Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency is a receipt. So once you bring a receipt, then officially your complaint will be written down and you'll be able to make a follow-up. So consumers should ensure that they don't buy things out of an impulse. They should understand what they are buying through the labels that are indicated on that product. Then secondly, consumers should be able to keep a receipt, because that's the only evidence that they will prove that indeed they purchased or bought that product, and so this product has not performed well, and so they are making a complaint, and so they need to be redressed or compensated so that their money doesn't go to waste.
If a consumer buys a product that obviously has a series of errors on it, for example, does not have an expiry date, not that it's expired, but it doesn't bear an expiry date, and of course some labels are not that clear, what should be the next step that they should take?
So we do have what we call the procedure through which you can make your complaint official. For starters, Nelson, and I want to put this on record. You see, consumers, ensure that you shun buying products whose labels are not clearly, labeled. Shun such products because you don't know what you are buying. Then secondly, when you have a complaint, you come to Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. We are found at corner of Chachacha and Kwazi Road, or you can give us a call on 22-4900 and we'll be able to respond to you, or just come to our office. Then explain to us what really happened. I bought this product yesterday. Look, the labels are not okay. I can't even see the expiry date, especially products that fall within our mandate. Then we'll be interested to make a follow-up. We'll send our inspectors there to do the probing and just ensure that everything is in place. So we are there to safeguard consumers. We are there to ensure that the playing field is actually leveled. We are there to ensure that consumers get value for their money, and also we are there to ensure that the products that they get, one, they are products that are safe, they are products that will not pose health risk to their lives, and they are products also that will be able to give them value for their money. Money is difficult to come by. So you cannot just go in a market, buy this product, and at the end of the day, this product is expired. You're actually putting your health at risk, and also you are wasting money to buy a product, because tomorrow again you have to buy that product.
You've mentioned repeatedly that there are some products that fall within your mandate. Maybe you can just update us on what products really fall within your mandate, so that even when somebody is thinking of visiting your office, they know exactly what you can deal with successfully and what you cannot deal with.
Thank you so much, Nelson, and our dear viewers out there. We actually have 60 products that we regulate, you see. For starters, it is interesting to note that products fall under two categories. There are products that fall under what we call compulsory standards, and those are the products that we're interested in. There are also products that fall under what we call voluntary standards.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so what's the difference between the two?
The difference between the two is that products that are compulsory, it means, for starters, those are products that affect your health. They are fast-moving products. Secondly, they are products that, if they are not taken care of, they can actually affect you as a consumer. So we have products such as bottled mineral water, like I've mentioned. We have got products such as cement. Imagine you buy cement that is not meeting the standard, or here in the studio where we are, and you use that cement to build this studio, and it collapses on people. It means you have actually neglected. There's an element of negligence on the part of manufacturers, because if that cement was okay and it was meeting the standard, people can easily sit in those buildings without any problem. So to answer your question, Nelson, we have 60 products that we regulate. One of them is cement, bottled mineral water. We've got fruit flavored drinks. We've got clear beer. We've got opaque beer. We've got animal feeds. We've got electrical cables. We've got bitumen now, because there are other 10 products that have been added to the list. Previously, I think we had 50, but now we have 10 that have been added, bringing the number to to 60. So those are some of the few products that I can mention that we do regulate.
I've seen instances where this client goes to buy a product. It could be bread or any other edible product from some of these chain stores, and surprisingly, as especially, I would give an example of bread. As she's pulling that bread out, you'd find that, wow, there is a cockroach crawling just inside the bread. I remember one of my friends actually had a situation where she bought bread, and of course as she was going home, she noticed that the bread, one of the slices had gone bad. It was even showing, it had that greenish stuff. Exactly. When she decided to return the bread, she never had a very a very welcoming reception, and of course the discussion wasn't quite welcoming, because the owners said, no, you cannot return something that you have opened. So now, I don't know how such instances are handled. I don't know whether you can only return a product that you haven't opened if it's bad. Because at the end of the day, some of the products, we only know that they're bad if at all we open them. That's when we tend to realize that, okay, it's gone bad and stuff like that. It's especially edible food. So I don't know whether it's advisable, or it's under normal circumstances to return a product that you have already opened and you've seen that it's bad to the owner, and whether the owner is supposed to compensate you for that.
Thank you so much, Nelson. First and foremost, the sellers or litterers, they should actually exercise, maximum personal hygiene. Okay? Personal hygiene is very, very important, because it will safeguard the products that they are selling, from contamination. And secondly, they will actually assure consumers that, look, we are clean people, and so the products that we give you are rest assured that there won't be any health hazards on those products. So they should exercise maximum personal hygiene. Then secondly, consumers do have what we call consumer rights. Now these rights actually protect consumers from such vices. Where you buy a loaf of bread and you discover that there is a cockroach, you as a consumer actually you do have the right for compensation. Okay, so you have to take that loaf of bread to the seller and explain. Of course, like I said, there must be a receipt. You take it there that, look, I bought this product from this shop and this is what I found. And if the seller is reasonable enough, believe you me, they will be able to compensate you either by giving you the money equivalent to the money that you spent on that product, or they will give you an opportunity to pick another product. But in an event where this seller becomes difficult to you and they don't want to listen to you, as a consumer, you can actually escalate that issue. You can report that matter to any of the agencies that we have. We have the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. I think will be able to, if that product is within our mandate, we'll be able to, to help you. But in case of bread, you can report that issue to CCPC, Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and I'm sure they will be able to help you to ensure that you get your compensation, your redress, and be helped. So consumers should be as vigilant as possible, because if you are not vigilant, then people will take advantage of you and they'll be selling products that are not safe to you. And in the end, you discover that these products will actually pose a health risk. The other thing that I want to talk about, Nelson, is the issue of products that are labeled in a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
You see, by law and by standard, all products are supposed to be labeled in a language that people understand, or that people who read and understand. So products that are labeled in a language that people do not understand, those products are not supposed to be on our Zambian markets. Unless if on the other side of that product, there is also an inclusion of a language which in this case is English. Maybe they also interpret what they have written on the other side. But if a product is just labeled purely in a language that is foreign, then that becomes a problem for a consumer to make intelligent and informed decision, because you do not understand that language. So products should be labeled in a language that people are able to read and understand. So products that are not labeled, in English or in a language that is officially used, those products are not supposed to be in our markets.
Help us understand something here. You have a case with a certain manufacturer, because maybe you went there and you told them about their products and they were not receptive to you and stuff, and you decided to take a further step and of course go to CCPC, ZABS, and of course
The Zambia
Compulsory, and of course other agencies that have been given the mandate to monitor what's being dumped on the Zambian market. For the consumer, for example, it's discovered that yes, the product did not meet the standards. Is that a punishable offense in Zambian, in Zambia, to be specific?
If the product is what?
If at all the product, for example, it is discovered that yes, the bread that was sold was actually bad. And it overstayed and so on and so forth. But the owner was not receptive to the client or the customer, and the customer decides to take a further step. Now, for the owner, what are some of the repercussions?
Oh, thank you so much. I wouldn't really answer that question 100%, because you see the product that you have actually mentioned doesn't fall within our mandate bread. Suffice to mention though that if a product is proven beyond any reasonable doubt that indeed this product was not worth or it had gone bad, and you report that case to any of the agents of the government, I think they could be, I'm aware that our colleagues CCPC, they actually fine you. It should be 1.5% of your total, turnover. I need to get the facts correct. Yeah, but I think there must be a fine that is slapped, on the offender or the seller. Yeah.
How about in the case of Zambia compulsory? Do you fine? Do you charge? Do you take the suppliers to court or anything? Is there anything that is taken?
I'll give you a typical example under Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency.
Mhm.
If today, Nelson, you decide to import a vehicle, okay, and importation of used motor vehicles, as you might be aware, actually, there's a standard to that, which is compulsory. So when you import a vehicle, it is required of you, the importer, to ensure that that vehicle is certified and inspected at the point of origin, okay? So in an event where that vehicle is imported in Zambia and it was not inspected at the point of origin, you have to pay a penalty fee or a fine. You have to pay a fine of 15% of the CIF, okay? Now, why that penalty is paid is that, you see, we want to see a situation where the vehicles that are coming in our country, they should be vehicles that are roadworthiness, they are vehicles that, are meeting the set standards. They are vehicles also that will not give, pollution, or that are not just meeting the standard, okay? So we are actually sensitizing even the members of the public that each time you import a vehicle, please ensure that that vehicle is actually inspected. Because when it is not inspected, you even pay more. Imagine you buy a vehicle all the way from Japan. It comes in Zambia and you discover this vehicle actually is not roadworthiness. It means you have to spend more money, as the importer of that vehicle, trying to repair that vehicle. So we try to avoid that as much as possible. And this is why we sensitize and appeal to the members of the public that as you import your vehicles, please ensure that your vehicles are roadworthiness, and they can only be certified roadworthiness if they are inspected at the point of origin.
Interesting. So obviously, when you look at customer manufacturer relation, it has to be a relation that supports each other. Is that so?
Of course, it must be a win-win situation. You see, a customer should be able to get value for their money. Okay, like I said, money is difficult to come by.
Yes.
So you cannot just keep on buying things that do not get or give you the value that is equivalent to the money that you are spending on. Equally, on the manufacturer, they should be able to, assure, customers that, look, we are the best in the market. Okay, because I believe that every manufacturer out there, they are there to make money. So if their product is not, giving that safety that consumers are looking for, then technically that manufacturer will be knocked off, they'll be out of the business. Why? Because consumers will shun buying such products. They will go to a manufacturer whose products, gives them that safety and do not pose any health risk to them.
Interesting. Now, take us through some of the measurements that you use to certify that this product is meeting the standard. For example, you talked about cooking oil being one of the products that you have got keen interest in, isn't it? And of course, you talked about electrical cables and of course other products. So now maybe we take cooking oil as a practical example. When you want to know that this cooking oil is meeting the standard according to our laid down procedures, what do you look at?
That's a very intelligent question. You see, we don't work in isolation. We also work hand in hand with other government agencies. I want to put it clear that actually we do not certify products as Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency.
Mm-hmm.
That mandate falls within the Zambia Bureau of Standards. They are the ones who offer certification, and they are the ones who do testing and ensure that the product is meeting the standard. Our role is just to regulate. So what happens is that Zambia Bureau of Standards will set the standard, okay? After they have set the standard, it is now our mandate to ensure that the players in those, sectors, especially products that fall within the compulsory standards, they manufacture products that are meeting that standard that was set by the Zambia Bureau of Standards, okay? So we do not certify products and we do not test the products. What we do, however, is to ensure that the products that have been, manufactured, they are products that are meeting that standard that has been set by the Zambia Bureau of Standards. So that's the linkage between the Zambia Bureau of Standards and the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. So when a product comes to us, for instance, if cooking oil has come to us, Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency will refer that product to Zambia Bureau of Standards for them to do the testing. Okay, so when they will do the testing, they will indicate to us to say this product is actually meeting the set parameters. Then we'll know that, okay, this cooking oil is meeting the set parameters. So that's how we work, because they are the ones who are mandated to do the testing. They are the ones who are mandated to do the certification and also to set the standards. Our mandate is to regulate, to ensure that the playing field in the markets is leveled, and also to ensure that the products that are manufactured, they offer safety to consumers, and secondly, they are meeting those set standards.
Interesting. You just reminded me of one particular aspect. I think you talked about, for example, cooking oil has to meet standards, and those standards are definitely put by Zambia Bureau of Standards, isn't it?
Yes.
Exactly. Perfect. Now, when we are talking about, obviously, a client returning a product, just how much time should pass before a client returns a product to the supplier and everything is done? I buy cooking oil today from this shop, and I go home and I discover that, wow, the cooking oil is bad. Before, how long should it take for me before as I return the product back?
Well, that's a very good question. You see, that's actually one of the obligations of consumers. As soon as you discover that this product is not okay, you must return it, unless if maybe where you are is far from where that you got that product. But if you are within the vicinity, you as a consumer, please ensure that you return that product. Because again, when a product has overstayed with you, for instance, let me give you a typical example, like maybe you buy a television set, you have even used it for 1 month or 2 months, and you actually discover that there's a problem, then it becomes a bit of a problem to get a redress. Why? Because these electrical appliances come with faults. Maybe there was a fault that developed whilst you are using it. So as soon as you discover that this product that you bought is not performing accordingly, you as a consumer, you must indicate to the sellers that, look, this product is not performing well, so that they are kept in the know. Because if you go there after a long period of time, then it becomes a problem.
Interesting. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, you are following through so that you know exactly how to handle situations where you get products that that don't meet the standards, and of course what you can do about it. Remember, you have got a responsibility as a consumer to make sure that whatsoever is going on the Zambian market is meets the standards according to the laid down standards by different agencies. For example, the Zambia Compulsory, ZABS, and of course others as well. And the moment you notice that some of the products seem not to be meeting the standards, it's important that maybe you engage the suppliers themselves. For example, you get a product and you notice that it doesn't have an expiry date. How about you engage the suppliers? You tell them, well, this product does not have an expiry date. I'm not sure if at all it fits to be in the shelves. But if at all the supplier is not willing to dialogue, wow, you have all these agencies that can definitely help you, because protecting the health of the public starts with you as a consumer, and of course as a community. I think it's quite important that we work together. Finally, as we're coming to an end, we have a very big business event coming up just in the near future. Very, very shortly, actually, we have the trade fair that will be happening in the Copper Belt, and of course the agricultural and commercial show that's going to be happening in Lusaka later on in August, starting from the 1st up to the 6th as well. These are events that present an opportunity for Zambia, for Zambian business personnel, for Zambian entrepreneurs to make money. And at the same time, these are also events that present an opportunity for a customer to buy something at least at a reasonable price. What could be your advice?
My advice is that consumers should still be quite conscious. They should. I know there's this frenzy of the shows, the things are cheaper. They want to get things, but they should be quite conscious. They should know exactly what they are buying, because it doesn't matter whether it is the show period. What matters is the health of consumers. So you cannot risk your health simply because this product is cheaper. Mind you, when you buy a product that is cheaper and you get sick, you actually spend more money going to the hospital as compared to buying a product that is okay and you do not go to the hospital. So consumers must still be able to be quite conscious and observe issues of labeling, understand what they are buying, and if a product is not okay, they are the owners of the money. They can easily shine and go to buy another product from another shop. So consumers should actually be quite conscious.
Interesting. Well, Mr. Hamunji, thank you so much for coming through today just to educate us on some of these issues that we take so lightly in our community and, of course, in our homes. Hopefully that we'll be able to knock at your office and you'll come through for any other further clarification.
Thank you so much. We actually operate an open door policy. Like I said, we are found corner of Chachacha and Kwazi Road. And if you have got any query, you can call us on 224900. We are also on Facebook. You can get in touch with us, which is Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, and we'll be able to respond to you.
Interesting. And before you go, how often do you get some of these cases? How long does it take for some of the cases that you've been handling to just to deposit them and, of course, to handle them? For example, a complaint comes to your office. How long does it take for a client to receive feedback and, of course, everything just to...
It depends the gravity of the case that we are handling, but all things being equal, I think within a fortnight we should be able to close the case.
Interesting. And I think earlier on you talked about more than 150 items have been dealt with. But just for this particular year, you've done your operations quite effective. According to the goods that you have confiscated so far from different Zambian markets, which one seems to be the main culprit? What kind of products make up the huge number?
The bottled mineral water.
Bottled mineral water.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that particular department, it's quite porous.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Well, Mr. Amunji, thank you so much once again for coming through.
Thank you for hosting me. We look forward to being here again.
Definitely. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as we look forward to building a better market for Zambian products, we need to make sure that each one of us plays our part in making sure that every product that enters Zambian market is a healthy product, meets the standards, and of course, it's a product that will definitely add value to your money. Your money needs to be a valuable resource to you. And of course, you need to make sure that every time that you are buying a service or a product, it should meet the value of your money. You have got a role to play in making sure that that is achieved by making sure that, one, you read the instructions on the product before you buy. Make sure that every time you go and, of course, you want to buy something, take your time. Don't rush in doing your shopping. Take your time, read all the instructions, and most importantly, make sure that you look at the ingredients of the product that you're buying, and of course make sure that the brand name is well labeled, and make sure that the batch is there as well. And on top of that, make sure that the expiry date is well labeled. If you get a product and you discover that it doesn't have a batch, the name is not so clear, and of course the expiry date is not there, you have the right to engage the store's owner and of course demand that perhaps the product be taken off the shelf, not until it's well labeled. In that way, we're going to be playing our role, and of course we are going to be doing our responsibility in protecting the community. It might not be you to buy that product, but it might actually be your sister who is in a hurry and just enters the shop and just gets it, and they go and use it, and what happens? Their health is compromised. So that it's important that we work together in this particular regard. Thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we'll be back on Monday with another exciting edition of your show.